Hey everyone, Tammy here. Today we are talking about communication styles. And the reason this is so critical right now is because everybody's emotions are higher. Everyone's reacting very quickly to things because of everything else going on around us right now. There's a little bit of chaos, there's a little bit of confusion, and if we can cut down on some of that chaos and confusion by communicating more readily, in a better way, in a way that the person we're communicating with is going to understand better, the bigger benefit we're going to have for ourselves and for that other person. So we're going to dive into these communication styles because I was doing an exercise, I was doing a workshop with about 50 people this morning, a big team that we were going through all of their communication styles and how the team fell into these different grids. And the thing about communication styles, there's no right or wrong. There is, you are who you are, and own who you are. And by knowing who you are and knowing who other people are, you can understand how to better communicate. You can understand why they might react a certain way to something you've said or done or an email you've sent. You can understand why your spouse might be thinking a certain way at this time. And it helps to just get through some of what might be more difficult conversations that you're having. So we want to start off with the two main questions you're going to ask during this exercise. And the first one is, are you more task-oriented or are you more relationship-oriented? And I want you to think about this from the standpoint, if you were given something completely new, we were to lay a project out for you that you had to do, and you had never been exposed to this type of thing before, what's your default? Do you default to start thinking about what are the tasks that need to be done in order to get this project done? Or do you think about the people involved and the impact it's going to have on the people and how they're going to feel about it? What is your default? Where does your first reaction go? Does it go towards the task? Or do you think more about the relationships? Where are you at? You can type it in the comments below. I want to hear where you are. Are you more task-oriented or are you more relationship-oriented? Just your initial response. Where do you think you fall? And we'll talk more about how you can learn different behaviors, but this is what your natural instinct is. What is your natural instinct? And the second question you're going to ask is, are you quick to make decisions? Or are you more reflective? So, thinking about the same thing that's getting dropped on your lap. You have a new project, something new that you're going to do. Are you quick to decide, quick to move forward, make a decision, figure out how to make it happen? Or do you want to stop and think about what it takes, what might be involved, what are the tasks, how is it going to impact, the people? Are you more reflective on what that's impact that it's having? So you're either quick to make the decision or you're more reflective. So which one are you? If you're watching, go ahead and type this in the comments below. When you think about when you're making a decision, are you more quick to act or are you more reflective? Type it in. I want to hear where you're at. So now when we think about, you grab another color here. So when we think about these 4 quadrants, we all fall into one of these 4. And the reason I like this exercise is because you can quickly identify where you are and where someone else might be by the way they're reacting, by the way that they are responding to something. Or you can take a look at their emails they're sending or the way that they're communicating to you. You can identify typically pretty quickly where people fall in one of these quadrants, which allows you to be able to communicate with them better. So if you fall into the area where you said you were task-oriented and you were quick to make decisions, if this is the area you fall into, then you fall into the controlling group. So in the controlling group, this group is the one to drive things forward. They want to make a decision, they want to move forward, they understand the tasks that need to happen, but they quickly make the decision about those tasks and they keep things moving. So if you met those people, they're like the ones that get things done, keep things moving, keep things rolling within the organization, or it might be within your family or in some form of relationship that you have with them. And I want to say, I don't think I said this at the beginning, but there is no wrong style. Like, you are the style you are. It is your natural state. There is a reason why we need people in all of these different quadrants, because they provide different benefits. So we talked about controlling people help to drive things forward. So if you fall into, if we go down to the relationship driven, and you are quick to make decisions. So Helen and Jag, I see you on there. You guys tell me where you fall. Are you quick to make decisions and relationship driven? Are you quick and task oriented? Are you task oriented and reflective, or are you reflective and relationship driven? So if you are relationship driven and quick to make decisions, then you fall in the promoting group. Hopefully y'all can see that. Pen's not working great, but we'll get by. So the promoting group, these are the people who have the big ideas. They have the big vision. They're the ones who can get up and get people motivated by this massive vision that they have. They don't really care about all the menial tasks that need to go into it. They just know that they have this vision and they want to get there and kind of leave it up to these people up here to figure out how to make the task happen. Does that make sense? So they are promoting. They are promoting the big idea. They're getting out there and helping to set that big vision and get people behind it. Now, if you fall under the task-oriented and you are still reflective, then you are in the analytical group. So within the analytical group, these are the people who want to stop and figure out how to make these big ideas happen. Excuse me. So they're the ones who are wanting, a lot of the project managers who are very task oriented, and they've got to figure out, okay, this is steps 1 through 10 that we need to get through in order to make this happen. And so with those people, they are the ones who are also going to help you make sure you've made the right decisions, because they're going to analyze every option. They're going to analyze everything that could go into it. They're going to think about how we make it happen. And so those people, when you're communicating with them, they want a little more detail. They don't want just like a fluffy vision. They want to know, okay, how do we make that happen? How do we make that become a reality? So you might need to give them a little more detail when you're communicating with them. And if you fall into this last category here, the reflective and relationship driven, this is the supporting group. And the supporting group are those people who are really looking to get the buy-in. They want to make sure that all of the people are taken care of, that everyone agrees with the decision. They want to make it all inclusive. They want to, know of some of the details of how it's happening and the impact that it's going to have on the people. And they're your supporting group. And they're important because they do help get the buy-in for the teams. They help to make sure that everybody's questions are answered, that everyone is understanding where you're at and where you need to go. So these are your 4 groups. You're analytical, you're controlling, you're supporting, and you're promoting. So tell me which one you fall into. Which area of communication style do you see yourself? And then I want you to think about someone that you may have a hard time communicating with, someone that you may have, recently gotten into a conflict with. Think about what they may fall into. More than likely, they're in a different communication style than you, and you didn't give them the details they want. Or, if you're in this supporting group and you went to somebody in this controlling group and said, how how was your weekend? I want to know, like, tell me every detail about it. And then they start going into, this is what I did. And they go into this long saga about their weekend. If you're talking to someone in the controlling group and you're telling them all those details, this controlling person's like, okay, when's the story going to end? When can we get on to work? Because they're task oriented and they want to be quick. So you got to think about who you're talking to. You got to think about what you're communicating with them. If you send a one-line email to this supporting group here and tell them what to do, they're like, really? You just bossing me around? Like, they want you to ask them how they're feeling. They want to have a little bit of communication and discussion before they jump right into the project. So it's great to think about what area you're falling into. And it's typically harder to communicate with people that go across both lines, because you're not just different in one area. Like up here, if my analytical and controlling people are talking to each other, at least they're both task oriented, right? So they're like looking at the task. This one's just gonna be quicker to act and this one's more reflective. It needs to take them a little more time. But when I go across both lines, now you have two things to overcome. So you need to think about that as you're thinking about the person you're talking to, how you're talking to them, what's your own communication style. You got to know that first, because that's going to be how you typically would communicate. And think about the person you're talking to. Can you adjust the language for that person? Because it will be received so much better. And when they receive your message better, it's going to make your life easier. It's going to be easier to get their buy-in. It's going to be easier to influence the other people. And so there are so many things I can go into with this exercise. I love doing this workshop with teams because we can talk about how critical it is to have each of these types of people on your team and what benefits they bring. So if you're interested in learning more about this or having a workshop with your teams, let me know. I would love to help out. I did one this morning for a group of about 50 people, and we had a great time. I will tell you that doing these exercises changes a ton within teams, because now you're talking in a common language. Now, when somebody gets a message, if this promoting person sends this message, oh, we're gonna just change the world and I've got this big vision of what we're gonna do, and it goes to an analytical person and they're like, oh my goodness, they have no clue what they're talking about. They have no idea how to implement this. Now you understand where they're coming from. That is not their natural state to think about all of the things. That's why they need you on their team if you're analytical. So I hope this is helpful. I hope you take this and think about, even just today, where does your family fall? How can you communicate better with your spouse, with your kids, with your parents? You can use this for so many areas of your life if you understand where you're coming from and who you're communicating to. And if you're interested in knowing more about how to run one of these workshops for your team so that you can all get on the same page of where you are and change the communication, how you communicate with each other going forward, just send me a message. I would love to help you out. I hope you all are having an amazing day. I challenge you today to go out and have one conversation where you are considering the communication style of yourself and the other person in that conversation. So have a blessed day. Stay healthy, and I will see you next time.